fired up. Let's do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are. Have fun. Take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. You like this?
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative.
You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got blown through like 6 times on the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah.
11 got it. Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys.
And welcome back to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark. Thanks for joining. We head to Bristol in the dirt or mud or both. Not real sure. But either way, we are headed to Bristol this weekend for the Food City dirt race at Bristol Motor Speedway. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Hit that like, subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts and picks on fantasy and gambling in the chat. But before we get started too far into this week's race, let's look at last week's race, where, hey, my guy finally got the win, and I actually got to be there to watch it. So pretty excited to see Kyle Larson take the win at Richmond last weekend. It was a good race, and got to actually take my son, who had a pretty good time. Stage 2 got a little boring for a 12-year-old, but other than that, the race ended up being very entertaining for both of us, and I was quite happy. So hopefully you had a great time watching that race, and hopefully you won a little bit of money. I ended up winning a little bit. But either way, let's take a look at the optimal lineup from the Richmond Spring Race, where Kyle Larson did get the win and pretty much dominated, at least for a fair amount of that race. At least was up front for a lot of it, along with William Byron, who led 117 laps but did not make the optimal lineup after having issues with Christopher Bell, who decided to throw Ross Chastain under the bus. Seems to be a thing to do, even though Ross may not be close to you. Just if you were to say, Ross did it. Not sure why that is, but it is. I know he's an aggressive driver, but either way, Ross Chastain ended up making the optimal lineup, along with Josh Berry, from 30th to 2nd on a very fortunate late caution lap that left him on the lead lap and starting in 2nd next to Kyle Larson. So good for Josh Berry. What a great run in that number 9 car for him. Not sure he's going to have quite the same luck this week, but we'll dive into that shortly. Chandler Smith also having a great run in his first or maybe second Cup experience. But either way, Chandler Smith getting up to 17th after winning on Saturday. For a guy that's not used to running in the Cup Series, that's a great drive for him. And surprise for me, Michael McDowell finishing in 6th. So he kind of had the same pitch strategy when that fortunate caution came out late that helped Josh Berry, also helped Michael McDowell. He was not running that far up most of the day. So good on Michael McDowell for finishing up in the top 10. But no dominators. 3 place differentials, 2 value picks, and 4 finishes with $400 left over. Our optimal lineup challenge, a little bit of separation here. Michael McDowell's now hit 3 of 7 optimal lineups along with Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain. Not too surprised with the top 2, but this early in the season for Michael McDowell to get up there is really, really good. Oh, I've got an echo. Interesting. Let's see. Does this help? Let me know if that works. But either way, hopefully that didn't disrupt too much. Thanks for letting me know, family man. And by the way, happy birthday. Awesome. Yeah, had one one extra mic clicked on, so kind of was giving that echo. I appreciate you letting me know. That would have really sucked. No wonder I had a couple viewers drop. But either way, yeah. So happy birthday to Family Man. Make sure you jump into the Discord. I'm still trying to get that kind of up and running and a little bit better. Just takes a little bit of time, along with the rest of the things I do in my life. But hopefully we'll continue to get that. Family Man's in there, and another buddy that I do iRacing with is in there also. But would love to have more people in there to discuss fantasy racing and NASCAR. But let's get to what we really need to do today, which is the Food City Dirt Race from Bristol Motor Speedway. I can't remember how many truckloads, 23,000 something truckloads they bring in to Bristol every year, lay it down, and get that track ready. It takes almost 2 months to get it ready, and then they race for about a month on it. Then they pull it up to go back concrete racing. But either way, we are on a short, high-banked dirt track. It's 5.33 miles in length, 16 to 19 degrees progressive banking in the corners. Today's race length is 250 laps. Dominator points will be 175. So Dominator points will slightly matter. I think it's much more finishing position, trying to find those guys that are going to finish top 5, top 10. And I think one of those guys will end up being potentially. I don't think anybody gets to a 30% lead laps. So meaning, leading 75 laps or more. I mean, it is possible for some of these dirt ringers to do it, which, I mean, the Kyle Larsons, the Christopher Bells, the Chase Briscoes. Do we start calling Joey Logano a dirt ringer at this point, or dirt expert? He's now won twice at Bristol, once in the trucks and once in the cup. Can he repeat and make it 3? Question. Don't know. But either way, I think Dominator points will be kind of secondary to what we're looking for today, in my opinion. All right, the reason you came. Let's start breaking this down. As I do every week, I'll break down this box, because this box changes a little bit from week to week depending on practices, heat races, qualifying, all those types of things. And it does look a little different because we've only had 2 races at the Bristol Dirt. So Kyle Larson, $10,900 in Draftkings salary. He did win the pole, so he will be starting first. In this next box is the heat race that he ran in. So he ran in heat race 3. He started 6th and finished 1st. So that gave him 5 points of place differential points for the qualifying, and finishing first gives him 10, so 15 points. Gave him enough points to secure the number 1 starting spot. So that's kind of how they do heat races on regular dirt tracks, World of Outlaws, those types of sprint cars and those types of things that Kyle Larson is really good at. But can Kyle Larson finally get himself to victory lane on dirt in a cup car? I think he's got a decent shot starting from the pole, but he's got some guys who also want to get there. Next line down here, the bottom line, is we look at the last 2 races, because we've only had 2 races at the Bristol Dirt, 2022 and 2021. And remember, 2021 was done in the middle of a Sunday afternoon when it got very warm, no cloud cover, and the track went from what they hoped to have, kind of keeping some moisture into the track, to not a dirt bowl, but a dust bowl. It was almost unbearable if you were in the stands. I was not, but I couldn't imagine trying to be there. So they have moved this race to nighttime. I almost wish it was a Saturday night instead of a Sunday night, but I don't get to make those decisions. I'm just glad it is at night. The moisture seems to hold better into the track, making it a little less dusty and just hard-packed dry clay into more of what they like to have in that. And I'm not a dirt expert by any means. I'm learning more and more each time I watch these things. But so in those 2 Bristol dirt races, Kyle Larson has 1 top 5, 1 top 10, 1 top 20. He's got a 23.8 DraftKings average and a 16.5 average finish. He finished, so then over here to the next line in yellow, he finished 4th in last year's race, and he led, so LL is lead laps, or laps led. He led 27 laps in the race last year. And in the 2021 race, he did not lead any laps and finished 29th after he and Christopher Bell ended up getting into each other. It was within the first 5 laps, if I remember correctly. But then over here on the top right is how many starts they've had on the Bristol Dirt, which is 2. And this will change depending on who's driving. Like Ty Gibbs has never raced on the Bristol Dirt. Then over here to the top left is my ranking system. I use the last races that they have, which was the 2 at Bristol, current trends, and a little bit, I would throw practice in there, but they didn't have any practice because it got rained out on Friday. But I do take some account into how they finished and started in their heat races. So with that being said, I've got Kyle Larson 3rd. Mostly because he's got that pole position starting spot. And like anybody that watches this channel knows, I don't typically like the pole sitter because you have nowhere to go but down when it comes to place differential. But Kyle Larson being probably one of the best dirt racers in the field, starting from the pole and after watching the heat races, clean air or a clean track in front of you, and you get to picking the line that you want and seeing the lines that you need, I think really, really showed up a lot in the heat races, and I think it will be something that will be very vital. Now, there's going to be some guys that are going to want to take that away from Kyle, but Kyle's pretty good, so I have a feeling that Kyle's going to get out to a quick start at the beginning and probably lead at least for the first stage. Now, he'll have some guys that'll come up and challenge him, but I think for the most part, Kyle Larson could easily lead the first stage, and I think he hangs around the top 5 for the majority of the race. So with that being said, I still have 35 to 40% ownership in Kyle today. All right, now we'll just kind of cruise through the rest of these guys, kind of hit some high points and low points and such. But Tyler Reddick, 10,700, starting 6th. He was in Heat Race 1. He started 5th and finished 1st. So good for Tyler Reddick. He also was in contention to win the race last year until Chase Briscoe decided to do a slide job on him in turns 3 and 4, and that didn't work out very well, opening the door for Kyle Busch to take the win. Tyler Reddick did sneak into a 2nd place, but Tyler Reddick is a dirt racer. He is very good on the dirt. I expect Tyler Reddick to be able to probably stay within this top 6, top 5, and potentially even contend for a win, potentially lead laps. He's got a 68.7 DraftKings average, 4.5 average finish. He finished 2nd, led 99 laps last year, and finished 7th in the first year. So I do like Tyler Reddick a lot today. I think this is potentially setting up as a road course ringer type of race. So Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, both could easily win this thing. He's 15th on the ranking system. I think that kind of is taking a little bit into account the current trend and being in the Toyota where he's kind of adjusting to it. May throw a little bit into Tyler Reddick, but I think Tyler Reddick's a very, very safe play. I have him in 30 to 35% of my lineups. Not a whole lot of PD upside potential. All right, next in line here, Christopher Bell, another road course ringer. Christopher Bell has got as much experience as Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick, so I would definitely call him a dirt track ringer. 10,500, starting 4th in that first heat race, the same as Tyler Reddick. That first heat race was chocked full of dirt guys. He started 8th and moved his way all the way up to 3rd. So Christopher Bell also really good on dirt. It does not show from his previous stats here at Bristol, with no top 5s, 1 top 10, and 1 top 20, a 15.0 DraftKings average, and a 20.5 average finish. Remember, he and Kyle Larson tangled in that first 2021 race, where they both ended up finishing pretty poorly. Christopher Bell did finish 7th in the 2022 race last year, and he does have 2 starts on this track. All right. Hey, hit me up in the chat on who you like today. Do you think it's a road course ringer day? Do you think Joey Logano is a road course ringer at this point? Not a road course, dirt track ringer. It's so easy to say road course ringer, but dirt track ringer. Or does somebody come out and surprise us this year? I think it's going to be a dirt track ringer type of day. Doesn't quite flow off the tongue like road course ringer, but dirt track ringer. Chase Briscoe, another dirt track guy, 10,200, starting 14th. In his heat race, number 2, he started second, finished second. He does only have 1 top 20, even though he led 59 laps last year. Like I said earlier, he was the one who decided to do a slide job on Tyler Reddick, which did not succeed. Tyler Reddick actually succeeded a little bit better. Chase Briscoe got the worst end of that deal. But Chase Briscoe also has a broken left middle finger that happened at a dirt race earlier this week. He'll have surgery on it, but the doctor does not think it'll impair his driving, and he said in the truck race that he felt very comfortable with that finger and it did not cause him any issues. So I still have him at 25 to 30%, 6 on the ranking systems, and this 22nd does not really show much of what he really had last year. He was a very, very fast car and contended for the win last year. William Byron, $10,000, starting 10th. William Byron had a good, solid day yesterday in the truck race. William B is not typically known as a dirt racer, much more of an oval or iRacing guy. But he has put a lot of work in and really improved his craft on dirt track racing. Starting 10th, I think Willie B could possibly crack a top 5. But I think he kind of he hangs out in this top 10 all day, which as long as he doesn't have any issues or problems and finishing in the top 10, I really think what we're looking for is finding the 6 guys that are going to finish in the top 10. And all 5 of these guys easily have that potential. Now the question is, do any of these 5 guys take each other out? That's the fun part about dirt racing, is it can easily happen to any of them. Just get once up in the, I think they call it the fluff, at the very, very top of the track, and it's super sticky, slows you down a lot, has a lot of traction, but really, really slow up in that part where really around Bristol, the shortest way around is typically the fastest, but sometimes running that high line and getting the run off the corners really, really helps. But either way, William Byron has put a lot of effort and time into really improving his dirt racing craft, and I mean, it kind of showed up a little bit in the truck race last night. In the heat race, he started 5th and finished 3rd, so not bad. He's got a 12th place average finish out of the 2 races, has not led any laps at either of those races, but I do like some Willie B. I think he could easily finish inside the top 10. I think he probably is looking at a 6th or 7th is my best guess. All right, next to here, Joey Logano finished 1st in the very first inaugural dirt race here at Bristol, where he led 61 laps. He finished 3rd last year's race. He won the truck race yesterday. I mean, Joey Logano is not known as being a dirt guy, but he has shown that he probably is a dirt guy at this point. So Joey Logano, $9,800. Starting 12th, we got a little bit of PD upside potential. I think Joey Logano could easily win this thing again. He looked really, really good yesterday in the truck race. I mean, his average finish is 2nd here, 64.0 Draftkings average, which, I mean, kind of shows you, if we go back up here and look, I mean, Tyler Reddick has got a 68.7, has not won yet, does have a 4.5 average finish, and Joey Logano has won a race and finished 3rd and still has a lower Draftkings average. So place differential will mean a fair amount today. But either way, you can see the stats for Joey. They are phenomenal through the first 2 dirt races here at Bristol. He started 8th in his 15-lap heat and was able to move up to 5th, getting him a 12th place starting finish. So not bad for Joey. Kyle Busch, last year's winner. Kyle's definitely not dirt track expert by any means, but he has been spending a lot of time with his son at Millbridge, running dirts, and all across the nation running dirts. So, and Kyle Busch is really, really becoming much more of a dirt guy later in his career. $9,700. Like I said, did have the car there at the end to finish first last year, and only led one lap, the most important one. He finished 17th in the 2021 race. He moved from 6th to 2nd in the 4th heat race, so not bad. I mean, he's got a 9th place average finish, starting 5th. Yeah, I mean, I think Kyle Busch could easily hang around in the top 10 and potentially steal another win. I don't love the Kyle Busch play. I've got him in 15 to 20%. If he were starting a little bit further back, I might have a little bit more ownership. But can Kyle Busch steal 2? Maybe. He's got some tough competition up in front of him, that's for sure. Ryan Blaney, 9,500, starting 9th. He finished first in his heat race, but he also started first. And just pretty much just took off and had a clean racetrack in front of him and didn't ever look back. Somebody else did that also in their heat race. We'll get to them shortly. Actually, Ryan Blaney's really good friend. Ryan Blaney has 2 top 10s here, 5th and 8th. Ryan Blaney comes from a family of dirt racers. So his real true lineage is dirt tracks. So Ryan Blaney also understands dirt very, very well. He can see the changes in the track and change his driving style and lines to keep up with the track. So starting 9th, he's got a little PD upside potential. 6.5 average finish, 46.8 Draftkings. I've got him at 15 to 20%. I like Ryan Blaney fairly well. I think he could be a sneaky pick inside this grouping. $300 more. A lot of people are going to chase Joey Logano, who won the race last year and yesterday. So he may get overlooked a little bit. Ross Chastain, next in line here at $9,300, starting 16th. His heat race, he started 10th and finished 7th. Ross plays in the mud a lot, but that's growing watermelons. Ross has a 34th place average finish on the 2 dirt tracks. 33rd and 35th, there was 2 finishing spots. He's got a negative 1.6 DraftKings average. Is it possible that Ross is too aggressive for dirt? If that's a thing. Yes, it is a thing. So I'm fading away from Ross Chastain. I've got him in 5 to 10% of my lineups, which if you aren't familiar, I run 40 different lineups. So 5 to 10% is 2 to 4 lineups that I have Ross in. So that kind of gives you an idea of what type of percentage and how many different lineups I've got Ross in. Got him in a few, not in a whole lot. There's not much I really like about the Ross Chastain play. I don't know how much he improves his racing position. I don't know how far he falls back. The more times we come and do this, the better that these guys are going to get. But there's not much I like about Ross. Family man, I like Blaney a lot too as well. Yeah, I think Ryan Blaney's in a good spot today. And he's really hunting for that first win. He didn't get a win last year, and he's looking for that win this year. And he actually was on the spotter box on top of the stands yesterday for Joey Logano for his win. So, he got to watch Joey get that win. So maybe Ryan Blaney can get himself a win after watching that race. Very interesting is, I'm not sure if you caught the race on TV or not, but Kyle Larson was in the spotter stand for Raja Karuth yesterday and coached Raja to an 11th place finish, and Raja has a little to no dirt experience. So Kyle Larson was able to coach that kid to an 11th place finish yesterday. So good for Kyle Larson and good for Raja to get that experience. Next in line here, Denny Hamlin, 9,100. Oh boy. He started 8th in his heat race and finished 8th in the heat race. Denny's really not known for being a dirt racer either. Starting 30th though, I mean, he finished 35th last year. something broke in the engine last year or broke in the car, so that was not all. I mean, I guess it could have been Denny's fault, but something happened mechanically to the car last year for Denny. He did have a third place finish and led one lap in the 2021 race. So Denny can get around on a dirt track. He's not by any means an expert like the first five guys or Ryan Blaney, but he's not a 30th place finisher either. I think Denny can hunt a top 15, maybe a top 10, and that potentially is enough at $9,100. He's going to probably be fairly heavily owned starting 30th. There's a ton of place differential upside. But it worries me a little bit because he has to get almost into the top 10 to hit value for that $9,100 price tag. I don't know if he's got that or not. I've got him in 20-25% of my lineups. That might be a little on the heavy side. So I think he's probably going to be I'm probably even with the field, which is not a bad thing, but yeah, I don't know if I think this is a setup, to be honest. I don't know what to make of the Denny Hamlin play. I think they're better guys that are starting further back that are less money that have much more better value than Denny Hamlin. So next in line, we'll just kind of keep going on here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 8,900. Ricky does have a lot of dirt track experience. He had some unfortunate luck last year with some other vehicles, which gave him a 29th place finish. He did finish second in that 2021 race, but also remember those were two completely different races. The track was completely different. The sunshine really affected it. But either way, Ricky's got a fair amount of dirt track experience. And he started first and finished fifth, mostly because he came too low on the exit of the apron and hit what they have like the turtles, which kind of threw his car askew a little bit, and everybody kind of got around him, and off they went. Ricky battled back to a fifth place finish in the heat race. I mean, the question is, he seems to have bad luck. Does that bad luck continue? I don't know. Starting 22nd at 8,800, he's got better experience at dirt than Denny Hamlin, but he's starting a little bit further up. Do I think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. can hunt for a top 10? Sure. He's got dirt track experience enough to do it. And this is, 250 laps in the dirt's a long race. I know typically they do 500 on the concrete, but this is much different of a race. So 250 laps is a long race. He's gonna have time. So I've got him in about the same percentage of ownership as Denny Hamlin. I might be a little heavy. I think the field may come in the high teens for Ricky, but we'll see. Got a couple hours before that happens. Tonight's race starts at 7-ish Eastern time. Martin Truex Jr., 8,700, who won the truck race in 2021 and ran fairly well in spring, leading 126 laps, but to finish 19th, and then finished 21st last year. Martin Truex Jr. is not known as a dirt track guy. Started fifth, finished seventh in his heat race. I don't know how he got a 12.2 average finish. That's not right. I didn't finish that. Hold on, let's see. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has an average finish of... Not right either. No, Martin Truex Jr. 20. Yeah, I could have done that math in my head. 19 and 21st. Average is 20th. With one top 20 Draftkings average of 44.8. So not bad. That came a lot from the laps led. Something has me on Truex a lot. Yeah, I've got 20-25% ownership in him. He came in fourth on my ranking systems. And I always second guess myself. I make my lineups, I do all this, and then I get into this conversation and start looking at it and start going, God, he started 5th in his heat race. Finished 7th. He finished 21st last year. Didn't lead any laps. And the track was completely different in 2021, where he led 126 laps. So all that being said, starting 27th, does Martin crack the top 10? He's going to need to at $8,700 to hit value. It's kind of like Denny. It's a question mark on Martin Truex. Yeah, I mean, I think if you hit on Martin Truex and he does well, I think he's probably owned in the low teens. Probably 13-14% ownership. So, I mean, I'm probably heavy on the field. I guess I'm with you, family man. But I'm starting to second guess myself a little bit with some of the stats here because the track was so different in 2021. I'm not sure. Alex Bowman, 8,500, starting 17th. Started second in his heat race, finished 4th, and that was a very, very competitive heat race. I've got a breakdown that we'll look at here in just a few minutes, but 14th place average finish. He finished 6th in the race last year, and I'm putting a lot more weight on last year's race because the track's going to be similar to last year than it was in 2021. But as you can see, my ownership percentage didn't fall in line with that. I think mostly because Martin Truex starting 27th, there's 10 points of PD upside potential. Alex Bowman is not known as a dirt track guy. Typically, went from 2nd to 4th in his heat race. 14th place average finish. Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably a little light on Alex Bowman and probably a little heavy on Truex Jr. So I could see the argument on flipping those either way. Kevin Harvick, another driver who is getting more experience on dirt, but doesn't have a ton of experience on dirt. And even his son, who has raced a little bit dirt, has gone much more to open wheel and racing in Europe now. So Kevin doesn't quite have isn't leaning on his son's racing and trying to coach his son through that, as is Kyle Busch or even Kyle Larson. Both of their kids race dirt very, very full time. And when I say kids, they're like 6 through 10 or 6 through 11. I mean, they're youngins. But those are the kids to watch to come up in the next probably 10 to 15 years to see if they can break in. I mean, anything is a question for me today. I don't have a clue. The race is great to watch, though. Yes, this is a lot of fun to watch. It is a almost hair-pulling experience trying to figure out who to take and what to take. I mean, if we'd raced here 5 times and the track had stayed fairly consistent, I mean, every time they'd race on dirt, it's always a little bit different. The moisture content, all the stuff, it changes a little bit each year. But you see the guys that rise to the top, with the Kyle Larsons, the Christopher Bells, the Tyler Reddicks, the guys that have a ton of dirt experience that can really understand what the dirt is doing and how it changes throughout a race, are the guys who finish well. And I don't think Kevin Harvick has that experience yet, and being older, one of the older guys in the sport, without that experience, I just don't know if he'll ever have that. Which he's a cup champion, but he's not a dirt track champion. So yeah, it's painstaking to try to figure out, because I mean, anytime you see Kevin Harvick starting 26, you'd be like, okay, check, put him in my lineup. Well, at dirt, I don't know. I mean, same thing with Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin starting 30th anywhere else, you put the check and go. So you run Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin in 50% of your lineups. But at Bristol dirt, no, not so much. I mean, Kevin Harvick started 9th in his heat race and finished 8th. He didn't move up. He didn't change. Now, I also think there's going to be a fair amount of attrition in this race. When I say a fair amount, I think 10 to 12 guys do not make the end of this race. So that takes us from 37 drivers down to 25. And then I think another 5 to 6 guys finish 1 or more laps down. So now we're looking at 19 guys finishing on the lead lap. Which 19 of those guys that are ours? I don't know. And then you really got to narrow it down who's going to finish in the top 5. Daniel Suarez, 8,100, who actually has a fair amount of dirt experience and is actually really good at Bristol dirt. Led 64 laps last year, led 58 laps in 2021. Other than Martin Truex, who led 126 laps, who's not really a dirt guy, in the 2021 race, Daniel Suarez has the most laps led, especially from both races. And I'm still really not sure what happened in his heat race. I've watched it twice, and I still just don't really know. He went from 3rd to 9th and just never recovered. But he's got a 68.6 DraftKings average, an 8th place average finish, and a ton of laps led. So, yeah. Starting 34th. So here's one that you go, okay, that's check the box. Done. Put him in. He's got great finishes, great average finish, great DraftKings, all those things. He's going to be heavily owned. He's going to be in that 30, 35, 40% owned. And that's where I've got him. He's too good of a dirt racer just to not finish there. Unless, as he's coming through the field, he gets destroyed. Which is, I mean, all it takes is one guy going in the corner too hot, slide around, and collect 4 or 5 cars. So, but I like Daniel Suarez a lot today, at least mostly for PD upside play. I'm not sure he gets up and challenges for the win, even though I think I've got him as my long shot pick for DraftKings betting to win. I think he's 30 to 1 are the odds on him winning, which is not bad odds for somebody who has led that many laps here at Bristol. Chris Buescher, 7,900. He's got a 14.5 average finish. He finished 15th and 14th. Starting 28th. I mean, this is another one. You just kind of check the box and go. I mean, 28th to an average place of 14.5. I mean, that's 14 points there. That's almost 40 some odd points that Chris Buescher would get if he got his average finishing position for DraftKings. But it concerns me that he started 7th, finished 7th in his heat race. It also concerned me on how just off that car was last week at Richmond. And the car has been really good at super speedways, but other than that, Buescher has not been where he was last year. I'm off a little bit on Chris Buescher. I think he probably gets more ownership than what I have. And I could see being talked into more ownership, but I just have a feeling that I think he may get to the top, may get to 20th, but I'm not sure he goes and cracks the top 10. Or even the top 15. I don't think he gets to his average finishing position, to be honest. So at 7,900, I've only got him in 5 to 10% of my lineups, but I could see being talked into more. Josh Berry, who had a great race last year, or last week, $7,700, started 7th, finished 8th. Josh Berry has, as far as I can find, little to no experience on dirt. I don't have any, or I think I have him in one lineup. But starting 31st, he's going to get some ownership because of his finish last year. He's driving the number 9. Josh Berry does not understand dirt. Has no experience on dirt, really. Even starting 31st, he might get to 25th, but I just don't see where he gets any better. I don't think he's got enough PD upside, or I don't think he finishes high enough to really call it a PD upside play. So starting 31st, he's going to get ownership because of the 34th starting spot. So I'm going to be off of the field with Josh Berry today. I think there's just much better plays that are a little bit cheaper that allow you to get some of the dirt ringers into the race. And Brad Keselowski's going to be probably pretty heavily owned. $7,600, finished 11th in this race last year, finished 11th in this 2021 race, starting 33rd. I mean, if he just gets his average finishing position, you're talking about 22 spots upside, and finishing 11th. I can't remember what 11th gets you, but I mean, you're talking about 50 points of DraftKings just doing what his averages are. from 33rd. But he was off. Chris Buescher was off. That makes me wonder what Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing has done to their dirt cars. And can they make the adjustments needed to get either one of these two guys up there? I think it's kind of a setup. Something tells me something's missing at RFK Racing this week. So I'm a little bit off with Brad today. He's probably going to be 20-25% owned. Like I said, I'm low on the field probably for that. Austin Dillon, who started 5th in the Heat Race 1 and finished first. I mean, he literally got to first, I think, by turn 3, and just never looked back. He had a couple guys sneak up on him, but he was able to hold serve and finish first. I mean, and he was having a great race last year till something broke in his car. 57 points if Brad Keselowski can get to 10th place. Yeah, I knew I was close to that on my math. I just didn't have the math right in front of me and didn't want to go look. But thanks, Billy, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, so 57 points for Brad Keselowski if he can just pretty much get to his average finishing spot. But either way, Austin Dillon finishing second. I mean, he finished 31st because of a mechanical issue. I can't remember what happened in 2021 exactly to Austin Dillon. But average finish of 26, starting second. And he was fast last year, and he's fast in his heat race. I don't have any much ownership. There are going to be some people who really like this Austin Dillon play because... And the other thing is that the track yesterday for that first heat race was really fast. And that's typical on dirt. The fastest speeds are turned in the first 20 laps of a dirt race. And then they start to slow up a little bit. The cushion changes, the track changes, it gets wider, it gets narrower, the lanes change. It's really unique, and it's kind of fun to kind of watch the guys like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell chase the track, and how it changes. So, but Austin Dillon starting second, in my opinion, there is no real upside. There's only downside by taking Austin Dillon. If Austin Dillon were Kyle Larson and had Kyle Larson type experience on dirt, I would take it. I mean, Austin Dillon could sneak up and bite me, and it could cost me, but I don't think so. Bubba Wallace, 7,200. And on face, looking at Bubba Wallace, you go, well, he's got a 28th and a 27th place finish. He's also got whatever's going on in between Bubba's ears just is not in the right place right now. I said it last week, and I'll continue to say it. Even in his interviews yesterday after the heat races, just something's not clicking for Bubba Wallace right now. But Bubba Wallace started on the pole for his heat race in number 4 and finished first. And it was a clean track, and nobody was catching him. His lap times were okay. They weren't bad. Like I said, the track changes and slows down. Bubba Wallace does have a win at Eldora, so he's decent on dirt. And he's got a fair amount of dirt experience. My question is, what's going on between Bubba's ears? I'm not sure if he's feeling a lot of pressure from Denny or Michael Jordan or whatever. I mean, that's got to be a lot of pressure. I mean, they had Michael Jordan on their pit box last week. How about stressful? I mean, it's almost stressful just being inside the same event with a Michael Jordan, much less him being your boss and owner and sitting on the pit box. So I don't think that's the case this week for Bubba, but still, either way, something needs to click for Bubba, and I don't know what it is. I still have 15 to 20% ownership, which is a lot for somebody starting 11th with this type of average finish. But something tells me maybe this weekend things will click right for Bubba. That could come back to bite me, though. So just letting you know. All right. Ryan Preece, $7,000. Starting 8th in the Heat Race 1. He started 4th, finished 6th. That's not right either, because he finished 2nd in the Heat Race with Kyle Larson. It was Heat Race 3, and he finished 2nd. So that is wrong. He raced in the 2021 race and finished 18th and did not have a ride last year, and he's now in this 41. But this 41 car Cole Custer had last year was a rocket ship, and just ended up fading towards the end. And that seemed to be the case with Cole Custer all year long. He'd have a rocket ship. He'd qualify well. He would run well for the first and second stage, and then the third stage, he would just fade. Not necessarily anything that the pit crew did. It would just Cole Custer would fade. And I think that's why he got pulled and Ryan Preece got brought in. Ryan Preece is good on dirt. He's got a fair amount of dirt experience. He was running down Kyle Larson in that second heat race. Now, that third heat race. The third heat race also had the least amount of dirt experience and dirt driver experience. And Kyle Larson was doing some other things, trying to figure out the track and seeing how the track was going to change and what the car and car setup was doing on how to improve. So, with that being said, yes, Ryan Preece was quick. Starting 8th. He's got a dirt experience. He finished 18th. 8th to 18th, though, is a decent spread in the wrong direction. But I still, something sneaky about Ryan Preece, kind of like Bubba Wallace. I think it's a sneaky play, and I'm not sure that they may get overlooked a little bit. So I do like some Bubba Wallace, and I do like some Ryan Preece today, but it's sneaky. Justin Haley, 6,900. Justin Haley's got a decent amount of dirt experience, and he finished 14th in this race last year. Starting 25th, he went from 4th to 6th in that first heat race, which was jam-packed with dirt experience. So starting 25th, 14th place average finish. I like Justin Haley out of this grouping more than anybody, but I think he may get some pretty heavy ownership. So starting 25th, I still am in 20-25%, but be warned, he could be a little chalky today. Because now we're starting to get it down into the value guys, which you've got to have the value guys to take the Christopher Bells and Kyle Larsons and those types of guys. So we're starting, I think Justin Haley's going to be one of the first real chalky guys down here under $7,000. Whereas Ty Gibbs, I don't have any interest in at all. This will be an absolute learning experience for Ty Gibbs. He's not going to understand how to read the dirt and figure out the dirt. He's got a little dirt experience, but number one, he's still trying to figure out this Cup car, and he's to his own admission, he's like, it just drives different than anything I've ever driven. Once he figures it out, though, Ty Gibbs is going to be fast. He's going to be good on all sorts of different tracks, including dirt. But this is the first time. So just the same as Josh Berry, I don't have any ownership of Ty Gibbs. I don't like anything about it. I think he's just going to go out and run and learn. And that's okay. He needs to do that. But Ty Gibbs, 6,700, I don't have any interest in it because the experience level just isn't there. Talking about experience, though. Completely reversed experience, though. Jonathan Davenport. First time in a Cup car ever. This will be his second NASCAR race because he raced the trucks yesterday and did fairly well. He stayed pretty consistent most of the evening, right there in the top 15, top 20, and got a lot of experience and learned a lot about how to do restarts and how to do lots of things. So Jonathan Davenport got a lot of good experience yesterday. Now, can he translate that to today? Because Jonathan Davenport has probably more experience than Kyle Larson, and he's good. Question is, does he figure out the shifting? Does he figure out the car? Does he figure out all those things? And can he finish better than 21st? I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups just because it kind of fit. He probably might get that much ownership anyways. He could be a little chalky at 6,600 because he did run fairly well in his heat race and he did run fairly well in the truck race. So I think I'm probably even with the field, but I could see the argument for fading him and I could see the argument for taking him. Unlike Ty Gibbs, I don't see the argument for either. But at least Jonathan Davenport knows how to read a dirt track and how to make his car better throughout the run. The late model race was fun too, to watch him and Larson. Oh, yeah. Jonathan Davenport and Kyle Larson have had many, many battles in the past. So it would do. Jonathan Davenport would love to do anything. Would be to beat Kyle Larson at this track in Kyle Larson's craft. If they get close together, it's going to be fun to watch. They're both extremely clean and good racers, so they're not going to take each other out or do anything stupid like that. But you get the two of them together, you could see two guys that run the high line and just let that back end hang out and literally be a foot off of each other. And that will be one of the funnest things to watch if they could do that for 10 laps. That would be really cool. But either way, Michael McDowell, 6,400, starting 13th. After watching the race last year and looking at his stats, he finished 9th in last year's race and had a really good car. Finished 12th in the 2021 race. He's got this kind of momentum going on. Like I said, he's gotten 3 out of the last 7 optimal lineups. I guess this could be a sneaky pick. He started 8th, finished 5th. I just never thought of Michael McDowell as being a dirt guy. He's a road course guy. He's not a dirt guy. The problem is starting 13th has me a little bit worried. But even though his average finish is 10.5, I'm fading off of Michael. His stats kind of lean the other way, though. So I could see the argument for taking Michael McDowell today at 6,400. Good value pick. Starting 13th has me a little bit worried. But maybe starting that far up, you miss some of the crap that happens in the back. I don't know. Same thing as Ty Gibbs. AJ Allmendinger, 6,300. I'm not sure AJ Allmendinger has ever played in the dirt other than on a golf course. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but AJ is a road course ringer like Michael. Even better. So, 0 experience. But he started 6th and finished 3rd in his heat race. Is that right? No, that can't be right. That's not right either. I'm not going to go look it up. I know it's not right because he's starting 29th. Maybe it was 3rd and finished 6th. Yeah, I'm not going to go look it up. Either way, I don't have any interest in AJ Allmendinger. He doesn't have experience in dirt, and yeah, just he doesn't have experience on dirt, and you've got to have some experience on dirt to finish in the top 20. And I just don't think AJ's got that. Eric Almirola. Eric's not very good on dirt. He's good on short tracks. Thanks for the information. I don't know. Not sure. Thanks, Recovery Speaker Stories. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Who do you like today? Eric Almirola, 6,100. Finished 23rd in the spring race, or last year's race. 36th in the first race. Eric's not a dirt guy, but he is a short track guy. So maybe, but doubtful. Don't have much ownership. I got 15 and 20%, just as a weird long shot. I like him better than AJ. I guess I like him about the same as I like Eric Jones, starting 18th. I mean, Eric Jones had a 24th and a 9th place finish, 16.5. A little bit better than Eric Almirola. But starting 18th, I mean, this is a weird spot to be in. And these two guys are not great at dirt. So I have a little bit of ownership, not a whole lot. Austin Cindric, 5,800, starting 7th. And actually, Austin's kind of sneaky. I had a discussion with Family Guy, and I think Family Guy likes Austin Cindric a lot today. I don't know. Austin's got not much dirt experience. Austin's much better on road courses, much bigger on the oval. Not great about dirt, just because he doesn't have a lot of experience. He picks up. He started 7th in his heat race and finished 3rd. And was moving up through the field. I don't know. I could be talked into having Austin Cindric. I could also be talked way out of taking Austin Cindric. That's the great thing about Draftkings is you have all these different people that have different lineups. Maybe they hit, maybe they don't. So I have faded off of Austin Cindric I guess, slightly. I think this is probably where his ownership comes in, to be perfectly honest. But at 5,800, yeah, I would rather drop down, take 5,700 for Noah Gragson, who is not good at dirt. Notoriously stated he's not very good at dirt. Starting 36, though, you don't have anywhere to go but up, because the only one spot behind you is BJ McLeod, who's never started on dirt and may just retire from the race because he doesn't want to tear his car up. Yeah, so I'm going to take Noah Gragson. He might, if there's enough attrition, and Noah's not part of that attrition, finish 21st, but 15 spots finishing 21st at 5,700, that's a great value pick. Either way, I've got 35% because you got to have these value guys to have the top guys. I say it every week. You've got to play these guys. And the question is who. Now, starting 36, he's going to have a ton of ownership. It may be 35% ownership for Noah Gragson. Just so you know, he's going to be chalky. Harrison Burton starting 20th at $5,500. He finished 20th last year in this race. I think that's kind of where Harrison ends up. I think he's kind of just the 20th place guy. So I've got 5 to 10% ownership in him. Don't think there's a lot of PD upside potential. Don't think he's going to go and crack the top 10 now. This race could easily turn out to be kind of like a super speedway, and we have a ton of attrition. And if Harrison misses it, then he's a play. But if this thing turns out anyway the last 2 races have gone, I don't see it. So starting 20th, I would need him to start further back to get more ownership. Same thing with Todd Gilliland here. He finished 17th in the race last year, starting 15th. I think he kind of finishes right there with Harrison Burton. I think he's a 18th to 25th place guy. I think he's one of those that if things just kind of work out and we have those 10 to 12 guys that get knocked out of the race, and then we've got 25th through 18th through who are just 1 lap or 2 laps down. I think that's Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland's falling spot. That's just kind of where I have these guys finishing. Boy, my numbers are all screwed up. Ty Dillon, though, on the other hand, had a 10th place finish last year, ran really well. 26th in the 2021 race, which was completely different. Ty Dillon's got a decent amount of dirt experience, and he spun in one of his warm-up laps or something. I couldn't quite tell if it was a warm-up lap or the first lap, but Ty Dillon, starting 32nd. I think he could easily finish where Burton and Gilliland finish, but starting 32nd, if he gets up to 20th, that's 12 spots. And at 5,200, yeah, that's what I need. I've got him at 35%. Same thing here with Corey LaJoie. I mean, Corey LaJoie's starting 35th, 1 spot better than Noah Gragson for, what, $600 less. And I don't think you need to use all your salary cap today. I think you're probably somewhere between $800 and $1,500 left over. There were a few lineups that I used all my salary cap, but I didn't love those lineups either. The sweet spot I kind of found was between $800 to $1,000 left over in my salary cap. So if that kind of lets you know how your spending cap should end up going. But Corey LaJoie had a dismal 2021 race and had an okay 2022 race. Yeah, I mean, do I think Corey LaJoie goes up and gets a top 15? I mean, it's always possible, but I think it's much more. He finishes 20, 21, 22. But at $5,000, I think he hits value at that point. And oh boy, JJ Yeley. One heck of a heat race for JJ Yeley. But it was in that third heat race where it was pretty much Kyle Larson, Ryan Preece, and JJ Yeley. Beyond that, it was not pretty. He finished 30th and 28th. Starting third, though, no way. I have absolutely no interest in JJ Yeley starting third. You way outkicked your coverage. he could finish on the lead lap, but if he finishes 10th, he's not going to make the optimal lineup. I don't care what price tag he is. Well, maybe he could if he finished 10th and maybe led a couple laps and had a couple fast laps. But there's way too much risk. One slip up, one issue, loses a lap, and you're falling to 20th plus. So yeah, no real interest in JJ Yaley today, mostly because of his starting spot. He is a dirt racer. He's got a ton of dirt experience, but I don't really know right now if that's where I really like it or not. Hey, we got 8 guys on the stream right now. Who do you like today? Who do you not like today? Who are you picking? Either way, I appreciate you tuning in and joining. We're getting kind of close to the end here. We got a couple more things to kind of go over. We're down to Matt Crafton at $4,800, who is taking over for Cody Ware. Real interesting story here. There is no real information on why Cody Ware stepped out of that vehicle. It said for personal issues. Not sure what those personal issues are, but it's very strange that Rick Ware Racing hires Tommy Baldwin to oversee the NASCAR team. That makes me wonder if we've got some movement happening, and maybe Rick Ware is finally going to put some money behind this team and try to get it headed in the right direction. And maybe that was a choice to pull Cody Ware out of that car. I'm not sure, because Cody actually, Cody Ware actually had a decent race last year. I know he had issues with Chase Elliott, but he still was running at the end, and he was running only a lap down or 2 laps down. So I find it interesting that Cody Ware steps out of the car for a personal issue, and Tommy Baldwin gets hired to run things over Rick Ware in the NASCAR side. So yeah, we might see some movement with Rick Ware Racing. Just something to keep an eye on. I have no information. I'm literally speculating. I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. But I found it very strange that in the same weekend that Tommy Baldwin gets hired, Cody Ware steps out. You put in a Matt Crafton. It's interesting. Now, if they can go out and get themselves a really up and comer, maybe. I don't know. That's just an interesting one to think about. But Matt Crafton ran pretty well yesterday in the Truck Series race. I think he finished top 5 if I remember correctly. So Matt Crafton starting 24th. He had a decent heat race. It'll be interesting to watch. I don't love much ownership because of his starting spot. I think that's kind of where that might be the best he could probably finish, unless there's a ton of attrition. But I don't think we see a ton. I think we see a fair amount of attrition. And then BJ McLeod, first time on dirt for BJ McLeod. Why he didn't put somebody else in this car, I don't really know. Maybe nobody was going to pony up enough money. But it would not surprise me at all if BJ McLeod goes out and runs 20 laps and says, I'm not tearing my car up for this, and parks it and finishes 37th. So I have no ownership in BJ McLeod. I don't think he has any interest in even running this race. It even the last 2 years, he's put somebody else in this car. It could surprise me he races for a lot longer, but I don't think BJ McLeod has any interest in running dirt ever. So I think he just runs a few laps. So very interesting. And I have to give credit to NASCAR Damas on Twitter, so give him a follow. He's pretty new to the Twitter scene, but he has found the key to the puzzle on pulling all of the heat lap times. And he was actually able to do this for the truck race. So I found this very interesting. So we started off the first heat race. Now, NASCAR screwed up, and the third heat race got deleted without being saved before they started the fourth. So I'm not sure what happened there, but this was very interesting and kind of telling in a lot of ways. Is we started with Austin Dillon at his best was a 19.448. Ryan Blaney's was a 19.499. Bubba Wallace's 19.587. So you could see it's not dramatic. I mean, we're talking about a tenth of a second here, but you see the progression and fall off on the best laps as we get through the 4 heats. Now his lap 15th, his lap 15th was a 19.448. So after 15 laps, it was pretty quick, but we see a fairly different scenario as we get through the heats. So it really kind of shows that we're seeing the progression in the track, and you can kind of start to see some of these guys like a Justin Haley really start to figure this out later in the run, and he's figuring out the track. A Tyler Reddick figuring it out longer in the run. And, kind of the same thing down here. I mean, even Denny Hamlin got better in the longer run, but still was not at the speeds. So you can just kind of progressively see the fall off for the times. Now, I mean, we're talking tenths of a second, but I mean, when you're talking about 250 laps, tenths matter. But I found this very interesting. Make sure you give him a follow. He's just really kind of started posting this stuff, and find it fascinating, and I want to make sure I give him credit for this information and wanted to share it with you guys because I found it really, really fascinating. Same thing with this. Actually, I can't remember if this came from Nascar or not, but either way, this showed the 2022 averages as the track progressed and wore on. Now, from 200 to 250, we had a pretty significant rain delay, and the track changed quite a bit for that last run. But either way, we can kind of see the averages, and this is really kind of what I was kind of looking for, and it kind of gives you a really good idea. I mean, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Larson, Bell, Logano. I mean, here's Austin Dillon. So, I mean, Austin Dillon winning his heat race is not overly surprising. Now, do I think Austin Dillon goes out there and runs and finishes in the top 5? Probably not. I think he probably finishes 10th. And that's not going to be good enough for where his starting spot is. But I mean, the cream rose to the top, and these guys down here did not do well. I mean, here's Cody Ware. Literally, I mean, we're still only talking 0.6 of a second, but 0.6 when you're doing that many laps is a decent amount of fall off. But here's the 2022. So make sure you go give this guy a follow. He's putting some time and effort in and throwing that information out there. That's from last week. Did not fix that. Let me see if I can pull up this sheet real quick. That was last week, so you don't want to look at that. Where do I keep that? Here. Here. Well, I should have find it somewhere else. I thought I saved it. Well, in fact, I know where it is. I do it from here. All right. So I've got I like Joey Logano 12th. Interesting. All right. Joey Logano 12th. I've got him first in the rankings. Decent amount of PD upside play. Kyle Larson could easily potentially be a dominator if we really have one, but potentially a really good finishing spot. William Byron, Kyle Busch also right there. I like these as potential dominators. I think you only really want to target one, but I think these could also be targeted for finishing positions, kind of like a Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick. I don't like the Ross Chastain play, so take that for what it is. Maybe Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming from 22nd as a PD upside, but we had so many PD upside plays. I mean, we got Denny Hamlin in 30th, Martin Truex Jr. starting 27th, Suarez, who's good on dirt, led the most laps here at Bristol, and starting 34th. Brad Keselowski starting 33rd. Wyatt Kevin Harvick starting 26th. This Jonathan Davenport starting 21st, who's a dirt race ringer. I mean, Corley Joy coming from 35th, Noah Gregson from 36. I mean, there's so much PD upside potential here and so many different ways to differentiate your lineups. But a lot of this is going to be chalky. And a lot of this is going to be chalky, including the top 3 here. So, you know, it's a mix and match. Guys, I don't like today. I don't like Michael McDowell. I don't like Ty Gibbs. I don't like AJ. I don't really like Bubba Wallace, but I could kind of get behind Bubba a little bit. Todd Gillen, Eric Almirola, I think they're starting too far up, or they're going to finish where they start. BJ McLeod's going to start and park it. Harrison Burton is going to finish where he starts. Austin Dillon, I think, started way too far up. So the Austin Dillon thing could bite me in the backside. Same thing with JJ Yeley, but I think that's a pretty safe bet on no. And Matt Crafton just doesn't have any experience in this Cup car, and doesn't have enough experience in dirt, where Jonathan Davenport actually has enough experience on dirt. So with that being said, let's get back to presentation stuff. So previous optimal lineups for Bristol Dirt. 99 laps, so 1 Dominator with Tyler Reddick, who finished second. You know, Kyle Busch hung around all day in the top 10 and led the one most important lap. But yeah, Tyler Reddick at 79.9. It's a really solid day. Michael McDowell, I mean, here it is. Michael McDowell, I say I don't like him, and he makes the optimal lineup for last year, starting 17th and finishing 9th. I mean, that's 8 spots of place differential, where this year he'd only have 4. I mean, is that enough and at the price tag? I mean, Ty Dillon started 7th last year and finished 10th. No way. Maybe. Can't remember. Oh, look at that. Crazy. If that's actually true. Did I really miss that? That last year? Ty Dillon started 7th. Wow. All right. So Ty Dillon's better at dirt than I thought he was. So yeah, Ty Dillon starting 34th. It's definitely a way to go. But I mean, we had $1,500 left and $2,500 left in the 2 Bristol races that we've had so far for optimal lineups. So, like I said, once again, I think the sweet spot's somewhere between $800 to $1,500 left in your kitty for DraftKings. Hope one of us gets lucky. Good luck tonight. Hey, family man, I hope you get lucky tonight because it's your birthday. And birthday luck is always great luck. So, if you could share just a little bit with us, that would be great. Have a great birthday. Enjoy the race and great luck tonight. And yeah, that was kind of it. We're wrapped up. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Quite a few viewers. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Would love to help you out every week with your DraftKings. Make sure you hit the Discord button and join us on Discord. Also, it's small now. We're going to try to grow it and make it into something. It's kind of a secondary way of being in touch with you guys and being able to chat throughout the week. So if you want to join the Discord, it's free, no issues. Come on, join in. As long as you're a nice person and you're nice to everyone, you can stay. But either way, it should be a beautiful evening at Bristol tonight. No real chances for rain. I think the chance for rain is 2%. But even if it does rain a little bit, it really doesn't slow them down on the dirt. So good luck tonight. Next week will be interesting. I am headed to Martinsville for the entire weekend, so I will not have my racing rig / broadcasting rig with me. I will do my best to have a video. I will have something up. What that looks like or what that is, I don't know. I don't know. Tune in. It could be interesting. I think last fall I actually broadcasted from the race from my phone, trying to scroll my PowerPoint. That was fun. You should check that out. Also while we were tailgating. Yeah, that was almost a hot mess. But either way, good luck tonight. Happy Easter to everyone who celebrates it. Happy birthday, family man. Hit that like and subscribe button. We will see you next week. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so got to be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah.
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys.
Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you. Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal. We got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job.
Thank you.